Hi guys and welcome back to Christian Cast where I will bait so you don't have to. So as you saw last week, we went through a design process and we refined my new pike lure. So today I'm going to show you a little bit of the differences between the two molds that I had that I was trying to explain last week, but it's better if you guys can actually see it yourself. So I'll pop you guys onto the desk and we'll also look at how well the seeding process works now at the moment. I'm amazed myself every time I do it, so it's really cool to see. And I'll just show you guys up close how it actually works and everything. Then we'll be casting the tail, and then we'll also be making a very simple airbrushing tutorial today where we'll be mixing some colors ourselves because I don't have any gold anymore. So I have to mix our own version of a little bit of something like a gold, and otherwise just use white, silver, black, um, yeah, brown. So that's going to be pretty much the colors for today. We'll see what we can do with it. You can really do a lot with colors, and I'm playing around with that a little bit, and I want to show you guys as well. And so I'll pop you guys on the desk. We'll look at the mold, then we'll cast the tail first because that needs most time. We'll let that harden. That when we finish the airbrushing, I'll show you also how I install the tails once they are finished and cast and everything like that. So we'll get started, and I'll pop you guys over to the desk. So first of all, I just want to show you guys, you know that I seal my 3D prints with super glue. I actually made a video to it and it's a little bit of a messy process, but you really get a amazing surface for your 3D prints. I'll show you guys what we start with. So this is a lure right out of the print. You see the print lines, and it's a very nice print because since I've got the filament dryer, if you haven't seen the video, I made an unboxing. I'll pop it up here or there. You guys can check that out. Since I'm using that, it is a lot better. We've got a lot less air bubbles through the humidity. Um, so now I just want to show you in comparison. This is just ultra smooth. The filament gets closed. You don't have the problem with drawing water anymore. So I really like the super glue technique that I use, even though it's a little bit of a messy way to do it, but I haven't found anything that works better because I really don't find any print lines once I airbrush over it. You can see it is really silky smooth. I put in a little bit of elbow grease and sand it down, but after that it is pretty much clean and ready for airbrushing. And now we'll just look into the two molds that I had. So as I was talking last week, I'll quickly get an injection and show you what I tried to show you in the drawing software. If you haven't seen that video, I can also pop it up here and there. You can check it out. So this was the first mold for the tail, and as you see, we actually had some silicone in the injection still because I like to keep some in because it shrinks a little bit while drying, and I made a hole in the injection because this is a one-time use object. I ordered them in bulk, and they not the best quality, but they work for what I'm doing. So I inject the tail, and then I actually make a little bit of a hole here that it can draw more liquid into the tail itself. And I don't think we'll have to be doing that anymore with the new mold design, but we'll get into that anyway. So once I actually made the hole, I think I'm also not going to do that anymore because I had trouble with this mold. Because as you see, the liquid is a lot higher than the end of our mold. That means that the pressure pushing down onto the liquid tends to push out the excess material out on the top here, so you don't really get a flat surface. And I actually designed this mold with the T-mod notch exactly like that if you are flush on this surface, that it fits perfectly. And with the material actually pushing out, it starts bulging, and once it starts bulging, we actually run into trouble because we can't fit it properly anymore into our lure itself. So you have to be very careful with cutting it and things like that. So I just didn't want to I wanted to save time, if I'm honest. So I put this design to the side. I like the tail, how it works and everything. And I decided, as I showed in the last video, to do it like this because we actually have the T slot right here. We'll also see today if it actually casts fully, because I'm not too sure yet, because in my old design, I don't know if it picks up. That's one thing I changed also in the last video, is these venting chambers, these venting channels actually, that I sized them up a little bit because I thought my nozzle is a 0.4 nozzle and I thought I had a 0.2 nozzle in, so I thought it would just leave out one line because I made the tolerance right here 0.2, and now we stepped it up that it can actually print it properly. And once that is done, you have actually got some joint surfaces that are quite easy to cut, and you actually still are able to make a perfect T-cut. This print was actually made without any ironing. I just sanded them a little bit, and we'll also see how the quality is without the ironing because it saves a little bit of time. And now I will close this mold and I'll get you guys back once we start casting it. I've got a orange clear mix that I want to cast today. We'll see if we are able to keep a little bit of the clear and push in some orange liquid in the middle of our lure, or if it will be completely orange. I don't really mind that much because it anyway looks quite cool, but you'll anyway see. So I'll tighten this up, add everything and mix on the silicone, and then we'll start casting and I'll get you guys back. So as you see, the first silicone is going to be a classic silver, and I like to tilt my form a little bit like this before starting to inject it. And now we're just going to start pushing and always looking into the top as well. And I see the silicone coming, so that is going to be that. And now I'm going to grab a second injection like with all the other molds, and we are going to start flushing the form a little bit just to really make sure that there are no air bubbles in anymore. And I'll do this and then I'll get you guys back for the second color. So as you see, the next color is going to be this blood orange, and I make sure that there's no air bubble in the injection itself and dribble out a little bit before going into this silicone mold again, that we don't get any air bubbles in it itself. Now we'll just go ahead and push out some of the new color until we get a nice hit, as we see right here. I'll now push through a little bit more just to make sure that we got a bit of that. And now I will wipe down the foam up there, fill it flush, and then we are ready to start the airbrushing. As we all know, first step is going to be grounding. And that is going to be the white for us. As you see, the main surfaces are really clean. The eyes themselves are very hard to sand out, so they're a bit grubby, but we don't care. I'll get you guys back once I add some color. So as I told you at the beginning, my gold is actually empty, so I mixed myself up a gold out of the brown we'll be using in the next steps, a little bit of white, some yellow and silver. The silver that I'm using is a acrylic ink from Liquitex, and I'll actually put the excess into a old bottle of a thinner that I was using, that we've got the same shade because I mixed up straight away a little bit more than we're going to be using today. and I'll put it into the airbrush and we'll straight away add it to our bait. I just wanted to show you that you can also mix your colors if things go out. I also did it with olive green in one of the other videos that I made, but we'll straight away get ahead and do a little bit of airbrushing still. So we've got our own mix of gold, and we'll just go ahead and add it to the top of our lure, about to the middle, just like that, and we'll do it on the other side as well. I thought the compressor was a bit of trouble. It's all going fine. There we go. So that is our own shade of gold. I still went into the fin area down there, and down here it still needs a little bit of darkening, but that will anyway fix once we go over then in the next step. So now I'll let this dry, and I just show you guys this is how it looks once you add it into a other bottle. So I'm quite happy with that gold tone. It's really cool. I'll pull this still as well back into there, and I'll let the other gold set, and then we'll carry on with the airbrushing tutorial. Well, the gold is dry, and now we're just gonna go ahead and take our orange and start on the tail side and just create a little bit of a flash to brighten everything up a bit, just about like that. I'll also go, the orange is also nearly empty, so it is a bit harder to spray, but we'll just work with it just like that. So now we've got our flash on the tail side, and now we'll still add it to the top. Just like that. Would need a little bit of thinner, but we'll make it work because I don't want to add thinner now. And I think I'm happy with the result. It's nice and bright and brings in our tail as well. That's got a bit of orange in it, also into the bait, which is quite important. So there we go. Now I've got that. Now we're gonna go ahead and we'll still make a black lateral line, darken the eye itself as well, and add a little bit of black before we head into the scales. So now we will go ahead and darken our eye. Like that. And add a black lateral line. Knocked you guys with my cap. Like that. So that is done. It's a little bit wobbly, but I don't really care. I normally would hold it upright and go along if I would really try to be steady, but it's easier to show you guys how I do it, and I actually don't mind it. It's a little bit more natural. So I'll let this set, and then we'll add the scales and then the clear coat and darken down the spine and things like that. But it is a very easy airbrushing tutorial with very minimal colors, and you'll see how it looks at the end. It's really cool, so you guys can take it and try it on your own lures. I really love the optic itself. So we've got our black, and our lure is in the mesh. I'm using the fine one today, and we're going to go directly from the top just to darken down everything and add the first scale color. Just like that. Now I'll do it on the other side then still, and I'll get you guys back once everything's done with the scales and we unwrap it. I'm gonna still go from this direction with a silver and from this direction with a white, and then we'll unwrap it. So these scales are done. Now we'll just take a look at what we're working with for today's final product before darkening the top. So you see the scale pattern turned out quite nicely. We're still gonna go over the top of the lure, clean up everything, and then we'll head over into the clear coat for today. That's got a bit darker, but I won't mind it. We'll see how the clear coat changes everything and how it turns out. So now I'll quickly get everything ready, put on some brown color at the top and clean up the top, and then we'll be ready for gluing in eyes and starting our clear coat. So we've got our brown in the airbrush, and now we're just going to go ahead and darken the top up and clean up the scales and everything just like that. There we go. So that is gonna be that part of the lure for today. So actually I really like how it looks. And we'll see, I'll still add some fins that will bring a little bit more detail into the whole thing. Then we'll glue in eyes and get into the clear coat. So now we're gonna go ahead and start with our fins. That's gonna be the white for us. Now I'll let that set a bit. We'll go over with the blow dryer before adding the black. And now we have got our black, and I'll align the stencil. Now that I aligned everything, we're going to go ahead add our black. Just like that. And that's how I get a really cool looking scale. I'll now do it on the other side, and then we'll go ahead, glue in eyes, and get it under the UV light. So now we're just gonna add our eyes still. That's the first one, and I'll get you guys back for the clear coat. Now we're gonna just take a look at how it will look under the clear coat, and then we're anyway gonna see each other for the outro where I show you the complete build. No, actually we're gonna be demolding the tail, and then I'll get you guys back for the outro where I show you the entire build as it looks when we are finished. So now there we go, I can show you how it will look. Nice and glossy. Always keep in mind I've got these paintbrushes to clear out the slot, that there's not a lot of UV resin in there because we really don't need it in there, because we need it clean for the tail itself. But now I'll carry on doing this, and then I'll get you guys back once we demold the tail. So welcome back. As you see, the clear coat is very clean this time and worked very nicely. And now we're just going to go ahead and actually demold our tail. So that looks actually quite clean. Quite happy with that. No air bubbles. A little bit of the white still. We could have left it a little bit longer. But that's okay. Now we're just going to go ahead and take it out. carefully, and that looks pretty cool. Nice and floppy. We'll now trim it quickly. I can take off this excess, and I just have to cut along this thin edge, and then we should be able to add it in, and then I'll get you guys back for the outro. Hi guys, and welcome back to the outro. I'm really happy with today's lure. It is really cool. The tail is nice and floppy. The mold itself works very well. I'm still going to change a little bit on the design because the T-slot is quite tight after adding the clear coat, so it's not perfect yet. It's a little bit of a struggle to get it in, and that I don't want, because if the tail actually breaks, I want to be able to change it with tails that I've already cast, and I don't need any tools, and I don't want to play around with that a long time. I just want to slide it in and it should work. So I'm going to tighten that a little bit and look at the tolerances a little bit and see that we can make that work a little bit better. But otherwise we're going to test if the weighting itself is now as I want it, because as I said in the last video, if you want to check it out, I'll pop it up here there. I moved the weight chamber towards the nose because I want the action to be more downwards, that when it is moving down through deeper water, you still have a flare of your tail. So we'll look if that is now already as we wanted, or if we still have to change a little bit with the design itself. And otherwise, I've still got a other problem. I am trying to choose hooks for this bait. I'm a bit worried about the hook hanger at the back here, because if this tail moves a lot, you have got the danger that you catch it yourself. So I'm not too sure if I'm going to be using treble, single hooks, or I actually have got these, I don't even know what one calls them, but they're like a double hook, and they are very easy to install, that if you actually rip it off or anything like that, you can just go ahead and slide it in like this and push it on, and once it's on, it makes a little click and it is set. And through that, the hook it hasn't got a third hook that faces the tail itself, so that might be a viable option for this lure itself, but I would need to get them in a bigger size. And we're going to be testing that in the following weeks and seeing which hooks we like. What I want to do, I'm going to compare the two lure designs that I have got, the old one and the new one, and we'll take a look how they also are different and what the changes actually made in the action itself. And then we'll be refining the STL that it is finished, that I can actually upload it. And if you want to make something like this for a pike fishing adventure or something like that, you can actually go ahead and print it yourself, airbrush it, and always recast tails if they break or rip off or anything like that. Otherwise, I am really excited. I've got a big project running on the side. I am actually making my curing system because it is really long overdue, and I want to get a little bit cleaner with the UV coat. I've also got epoxy that I want to try, and I first want to really get a rotisserie and lure curing station finish. So that escalated a little bit, but you'll anyway see it in upcoming videos. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next week, but we'll see it. And thanks again for tuning in and sticking around until now. It's just so cool actually to see how the community gets bigger and how everybody likes to interact and comments that I get. So I just want to thank you guys a lot, and we'll see each other for next week's video. Keep on fishing and stay safe. Cheers.